All right, so today we're going to dive deep into this whole BLUF thing.
BLUF.
Yeah, bottom line up front.
Right.
Have you ever like gotten an email
Yeah.
or like a report or something and you're just like,
Ooh. What is the point?
yeah, it's like, where's the, I got the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Hurry.
BLUF is kind of like the opposite of that.
Yeah,
You just get right to it.
absolutely.
It's like that's the first thing you see.
Yeah, just get to the point and then explain everything.
Yeah, and then you get all the details later.
That's it.
And this is something that actually came from the U.S. military.
Yeah.
So
It's all about clarity and speed,
yeah.
especially when it's, really important stuff.
Yeah. Imagine you're like a general in the field.
Exactly.
You need to know what's happening right now.
You don't have time to like read through a 5-page report.
Yeah, you don't have time to be like, oh, what is this flowery language telling me?
Right.
So, but it's not just about like
Right.
being blunt.
No.
It's more about organization.
Yeah, it's about a way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's forcing yourself to really distill it down
Yeah.
to the most important thing.
What is like the...
What's the bottom line here?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you say first.
Yes, and then give all the support and all the reasoning,
Yeah.
all the data afterwards.
This reminds me of one time I was trying to convince my friends to go to this restaurant.
Okay.
And instead of building it up and being like, oh, it's so fancy and it's got this and that, I just went.
You just went.
You guys, they have the best truffle fries you've ever had.
Did it work?
And of course, they were all like, yeah, let's go.
Truffle fries?
Mhm.
I mean, who can say no?
But you see, it's like even in that situation,
Right.
just getting right to the point.
Exactly.
It was the most effective.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the military now either. We see this everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Businesses. Academia.
Education.
Healthcare.
I'm really curious to get into some real-world examples of this.
Absolutely.
So let's say you're writing an email to your boss about a project.
Yeah.
What's a good BLUF way to do that?
So say your subject line is Project X update, on track for, whatever date launch.
Yeah.
Boom. You've already said it.
Right there in the subject line.
Right there in the subject line. Project's going well.
Well, you're not going to have to open the email.
You don't even have to open the email.
It's
right there.
So much better than just like Project X update.
Yeah.
And then
it's like 3 paragraphs.
What is happening?
Right.
Is it good news? Is it bad news?
Exactly. And then you can use the body to elaborate.
Give all the
details. But the key takeaway is right there.
Okay, so we've got email.
Email.
Right? Yeah.
What about presentation?
Presentations. Let's say you're presenting to like a boardroom full of executives. They don't have a lot of time.
They don't have a lot of time. So instead of starting with this long-winded intro, you just hit them with a BLUF slide.
Okay, so like a slide that just says BLUF.
BLUF.
This new marketing strategy is going to increase engagement by 20%.
Exactly. You got it.
Boom.
You got their attention.
You have their attention.
You said what's in it for them right away.
And speaking of effective communication, there's this company, Aspiration Marketing.
Aspiration Marketing.
I was looking at their blog the other day.
Oh, yeah.
blog.aspiration.marketing.
blog.aspiration.marketing.
And they have some really good stuff about BLUF on there.
Oh, yeah. They're all about that kind of effective communication, getting to the point.
Okay, so we've talked about emails, presentations.
Emails, presentations.
What about reports?
Reports.
Those can be tough.
Oh, especially long reports,
Yeah.
financial reports, things like that.
Yeah, so how can we use BLUF?
Yeah, so instead of burying the key findings in, paragraph 5, page 7, you just put it right up front. BLUF : Q3 profits exceeded projections by 15%.
Okay.
So
boom, there it is.
Right at the top.
Right at the top.
You know exactly what's going on.
You know what's going on.
And then if you want to dig into the numbers,
then you can read more.
You can read more.
Exactly.
It's like giving them that executive summary.
It is like an executive summary.
Right up front.
Right up front.
It's almost like in this day and age where everyone is just
bombarded
with information. It's like a courtesy.
It is. It's like respecting their time.
Yeah.
You're saying, look, I'm not going to waste your time.
Yeah.
Here's the most important thing.
Okay, so we've covered emails, presentations, reports.
Right.
Seems like BLUF can be applied
pretty much
everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere.
But are there ever times when you don't want to use it?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Like, when would that be?
So you don't always want to use BLUF.
Okay.
Sometimes you want to build suspense.
Okay.
You want to take people on a journey.
But if you're telling a story or something.
Exactly. Like if you're telling a story or something,
yeah,
maybe you don't want to give away the ending right away.
Yeah.
Okay. So BLUF, it's all about clarity, efficiency. It's not always the best for emotion or building a narrative.
So it's all about knowing your audience, knowing what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
And using the right tool for the job.
The right tool. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
And that's something that aspiration marketing,
they talk about that all the time.
They really focus on that.
Yeah, finding what's the best strategy.
Yeah. So it seems like they really understand communication.
They really get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to admit this. Sometimes I get so caught up.
Oh, yeah.
In the weeds.
In the detail. All the little details.
Yeah.
I kind of forget to think about the big picture.
Yeah, I think that happens to all of us. You get so focused on the details that you forget about what's the most important thing. And that's why BLUF is so valuable.
Right.
It forces you to take a step back and think, what do I really want people to know?
What's the bottom line?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
Yeah.
It's almost like a mental exercise.
It is.
To make you think clearly.
It is. It's a mental exercise in clarity and conciseness.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's probably something that everyone could benefit from.
I think so.
Have you ever had like a BLUF aha moment?
Oh, yeah. I had one recently, actually, when I was working on a presentation for a client.
Okay.
And
tell me about it.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I was so focused on presenting all the data and all the research I'd gathered.
Yeah.
You know, I had this elaborate slide deck with charts and graphs. Yeah. Sounds familiar.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
But I took a step back and I realized I was overwhelming my audience.
Yeah. Too much.
Too much. They didn't need all that.
They don't need every single
detail.
Right.
They needed the insights.
Right.
They needed the key takeaway.
So you had to like BLUFify?
I had to BLUFify.
Your presentation.
I restructured the whole thing.
Okay.
I started with the most important conclusions and recommendations.
Okay.
And you know what?
How'd it go?
The presentation went so much smoother.
Really?
The client was engaged. They asked insightful questions.
Wow.
And we had a much more productive discussion.
That's amazing how just changing it up like that can make such a difference.
It really can.
I mean, it makes you realize that BLUF isn't just about efficiency.
No.
It's about
clarity. It's about engagement.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's about better communication.
And, you know, I think it makes sense because our brains kind of like that BLUF structure.
They do.
Because we get so much information thrown at us.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
We need a way to filter it.
And
to figure out what's important.
Exactly.
And BLUF kind of does that for us.
Yeah. And there's actually a lot of research in cognitive psychology that supports this idea.
Interesting.
When we receive information in a BLUF format.
Yeah.
It's easier for our brains to process and remember it.
It's almost like giving our brains a hook.
Yes.
To hang the information on.
Exactly. When we know the main point up front, it gives us a framework for organizing all those details.
Yeah.
All that supporting information.
It makes it easier to understand and remember.
Exactly.
So it's not just about saving time.
Right.
It's about helping our brains.
It's about working with the way our brains naturally work.
Okay, I am sold on BLUF.
Good.
It is officially my new communication mantra.
Yes.
But I do have to ask, are there any downsides?
Oh, that's a good question.
To this? Like, when would you not?
So as we were talking about before, BLUF isn't always the best approach.
Right.
Sometimes you might want to build suspense or take your audience on a more nuanced journey.
Yeah.
So it's not always the best fit.
Yeah. So like with any tool.
Right.
You got to know when to use it.
Exactly. You got to know when to use it.
And when not to.
And when not to use it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something aspiration marketing really understands.
They do.
They help businesses tailor their communication.
Yes.
To the situation.
They understand the nuances.
Yeah, they're not just about, oh, this is the hot new thing. Everyone do this.
It's not about following trends.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works best.
It seems like they really get.
They really get it.
Communication.
They do.
This whole conversation's got me thinking about all the different ways we communicate.
It's fascinating.
What are some other tools or strategies?
Oh, that's a good question.
That you find really effective?
one technique I find incredibly valuable is storytelling.
Ooh, storytelling.
Storytelling.
Everyone loves a good story.
Everyone loves a good story. And stories have this amazing power to capture our attention, evoke our emotions, and really make information memorable.
It's like they take us somewhere else.
They transport us.
Yeah.
Really to another time or place.
Yes. And when you can weave your message into a compelling narrative, it's so much more likely to stick.
It's like people always say, attacks are more memorable if they're part of a story.
Exactly. And it makes sense because stories tap into our emotions, our imagination, our desire to connect with other people.
Yeah.
So how do we become better storytellers?
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, it's about finding the human element in your message.
Okay.
It's the emotional core.
Yeah.
Who are the characters?
Okay.
What's the conflict or the challenge?
It's like we're writing a little movie in our minds.
Exactly. It's like writing a mini movie in our minds. Exactly. And once you have that basic structure, then you can start to flesh it out with details, sensory language, vivid imagery.
So we've got
you got it.
BLUF for clarity and efficiency.
Yes.
Storytelling for connection and engagement.
You got
a powerful duo.
Powerful duo.
Yeah. And I think this has really shown me how important it is to be intentional.
Absolutely.
About how we communicate.
So true. It's not just what we say.
Yeah.
It's how we say it.
Yeah.
And when we take the time to think about our audience, our message, our goals, we can create a much more powerful experience.
It's like we're taking communication. And we're turning it.
We're elevating it.
Into an art.
I love that. Because at the end of the day, effective communication is about connecting with people, sharing ideas, and inspiring action.
Yeah. And that's something worth striving for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it made me realize that BLUF isn't just about efficiency. It's about clarity. It's about engagement.
Right.
And ultimately, it's about better communication.
Yeah, and thinking about it, it makes sense that our brains kind of crave that BLUF structure.
Yeah.
We're just bombarded with so much information all the time that we need a way to filter it.
We need a way to filter it and prioritize what's most important.
Yeah, and BLUF kind of helps us do that.
It does, and there's a lot of research actually in cognitive psychology that supports this idea.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, when we get information in a BLUF format, it's just easier for our brains to process it.
Okay,
remember it.
It's like we're giving our brain a hook
to
hang the information on.
Exactly. When we know the main point right up front, it creates like a framework for organizing and integrating all those details.
Makes it easier to understand.
And remember. Exactly. So it's not just about saving time.
Yeah.
It's about like working with our brains.
It's about working with how our brains naturally work.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sold. BLUF is my new communication mantra.
I love it.
But are there any downsides to this?
That's a good question.
Like, are there times when you would not want to use BLUF?
Yeah, so like we were saying before, BLUF isn't always the best approach.
Right.
Sometimes you might want to build that suspense.
Right.
Or take your audience on a more nuanced journey.
Right, like when you're telling a story.
Exactly, like if you're telling a story.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to give away the ending right away.
Okay, so like any tool.
Right.
You got to know. You got to know when to use it.
When to use it.
And when not to use it.
Yeah, and that seems like something that aspiration marketing
get that.
Really gets.
Yeah.
They help businesses tailor their communication to the situation.
They understand those nuances.
Yeah, they're not just saying like, oh, this is the hot new thing.
It's not about following trends.
Everybody do this.
It's about what works best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like they really get.
They really get it.
Communication.
They do.
This has really got me thinking about all the different ways we communicate.
It's fascinating.
What are some other tools or strategies you find effective?
Oh, that's a good question. One technique I find incredibly valuable is storytelling.
Ooh, storytelling.
Storytelling.
Everyone loves a good story.
Everyone loves a good story.
Right.
And stories have this amazing power to capture our attention, evoke our emotions, and make information so much more memorable.
It's like they take us to a different place.
They transport us.
Yeah, to a different time or place.
Yes, and when you can weave your message into a compelling narrative, it's just so much more likely to stick.
Like they always say.
Yeah.
Facts are more memorable.
Yes.
If they're part of a story.
Absolutely. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Because stories tap into our emotions.
Yeah.
Our imagination.
Right.
Our desire to connect with others.
Yeah. So how do we become better storytellers?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, I think it's about finding the human element in your message.
Okay.
What is the emotional core of what you're trying to say?
Right.
Who are the characters?
Okay.
What is the conflict or the challenge?
Like we're writing a little movie in our heads.
It is like writing a mini movie in our minds.
Okay.
And then you can start to flesh it out.
Okay.
With the details,
yeah.
the sensory language,
yeah.
the vivid imagery.
Okay. So we got BLUF for clarity and efficiency.
Yes.
Storytelling for connection and engagement.
You got it.
I like it. A powerful duo.
A powerful duo.
You know, and this whole conversation has really shown me the importance of being intentional.
Absolutely.
With our communication.
It's so true. It's not just what we say, it's how we say it.
Right.
And when we take the time to think about the audience, our message, our goals, we can create a much more powerful experience.
It's like taking communication and turning it,
elevating it
into an art.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, effective communication is about connecting with people, sharing ideas, and inspiring action.
And that's something worth striving for.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think we've really explored BLUF today.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
From its origins in the military to using it in emails, presentations, even just casual conversations.
Pretty much anywhere you can communicate.
We even touched on the psychology behind it.
Yeah, like why it works so well.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think the first thing is BLUF is a tool, not a rule. It's not about following some strict formula.
Right.
It's about being mindful of your message and who you're talking to.
And choosing the most effective way to say it.
Exactly. Sometimes BLUF is perfect. Sometimes something else might work better.
So be adaptable.
Yeah.
Be intentional.
Be intentional.
And I think another important thing is just the power of simplicity.
Oh, yeah.
BLUF is all about
cutting through the noise.
Cutting through the noise, getting right to the point.
And in today's world where everyone's just overwhelmed with information, that's more valuable than ever.
Almost like a relief.
It is like a breath of fresh air for your brain.
And finally, I think the biggest thing is that BLUF isn't just a technique.
Right.
It's a mindset.
It's a way of thinking about communication.
It's about prioritizing clarity, efficiency, making sure your message has impact.
And that can make a huge difference in how you connect with people and get things done.
So if you want to level up your communication skills, BLUF is definitely a tool worth trying out.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for help with that, I definitely recommend Aspiration Marketing.
They really are the masters of communication.
You are.
And they can help you create a strategy that works for you.
That's right.
You can find them at blog.aspiration.marketing.
That's the one.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into BLUF.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you learned something new.
Yeah, go out there and try it out.
And remember, clear communication equals powerful communication.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So go forth and BLUF it up